How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it is Fun Friday here on the show. That's right, we're live today, and it will be a fun Friday, one way or the other. We got some news to talk about, but hey, it's Friday. There's not a lot going on. We can talk about Rampage and Collision and SmackDown and the NXT Halloween Havoc show if we'd like to. And then some news. And then, yes, it will be your chance to give us a call here today. Don't call yet. Don't put anyone to work yet. I'll throw that number out here in a little while. But you can text us at any time. The text message line is 425-780-7566. That is only for text messages. If you try to call that line, you're just wasting your time. 425-780-7566. You can email me at f4wonline@gmail.com. I'm also f4wonline on Threads occasionally, Instagram occasionally, and you can always get a cameo. What better weekend to get a cameo from myself to you or a loved one or hated enemy? So head up to Cameo. I am Bryan Alvarez on Cameo. I know that's hard to believe. And also I'm on X at Bryan Alvarez. So among the news notes we'll talk about here today, we got the first match for the Tokyo Dome. And what a match it is. Health update on Maria Kanellis. Saturday night's main event. We've got Bound for Glory coming up tonight with some NXT talent on the undercard, Dynamite ratings, and more. So a lot to get into here today. Mike Sempervive is going to join us as always. And so will you later on, because it is Fun Friday. And no Fun Friday can end without a good time. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Granny, what's happening? What do we got for the wrestling report here today?
Talk or something.
Talk or something.
So Niven comes in, jumps on Bailey with her overweight body a couple of times, doesn't mind playing dirty, leaves Bailey on the mat in lots of pain. I found this book. It's called Limericks from the Heart.
Is this a Lanny Poffo book?
Let me finish this one. This guy's name is Lanny Poffo. And there are 335 pages in here. Can you guess what it's about?
Smoking.
Oh,
Sean the Wizard.
Have you read it?
We read it every week for about 6 months.
When I first started.
Wow.
Why don't we start reading some questions, and we'll see if we can spur some answers out of Granny. Shall we try?
No, I don't think so.
Let's try.
Then you'll really find out how dumb I am.
Granny, did you know there was a wrestling bear?
No, and I don't care.
All right.
It's a bear that wrestled people.
I still don't care.
Okay.
Is Granny frozen?
Granny, you frozen?
No, I'm ready to read my report.
Your picture is frozen.
It is?
Yeah. Or you're doing a great job as a ventriloquist.
Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa, or whatever his last name is. Paul Newman is watching this match, and he's not on Cody's side. What's the matter?
Absolutely nothing. Everything's great.
You know, Cody did say that he was looking for a manager. I think him and Paul Newman would be a...
What a handsome pair.
Yeah. A dashing duo.
That guy's a movie star, isn't he?
Since you're on the phone, why don't we just jump right into your wrestling report and such, and then we'll let you go and we'll do Facebook without you.
Can I lay the phone down and can you hear me?
You can try. Why don't you give it a shot?
Okay.
Oh, boy. It's going to be a disaster. I can already tell.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. That's all right, I guess.
Go ahead.
No, it's your segment. You're gonna read
us jokes?
Or your wrestling report or whatever. I see Granny has now put the phone back up to her ear.
I'm just, for now.
Do you have the soaps or anything else, Granny, or are we, is that it?
I want to quit for now.
Okay. Well.
No more.
Instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. It's Fun Friday here on the show.
Woo!
Yeah, send us in your text messages. I'll read them here on the air. 425-780-7566. That's for text messages. Once again, 425-780-7566. Or email me at 4wonline@gmail.com. Brian at WrestlingObserver.com also works. And then we'll take some phone calls later on. Not a ton of news happening here today. Do want to wish the best to Maria Kanellis, recovering after undergoing surgery for a mass on her adrenal gland. Surgery done on Thursday morning. Next step, a biopsy to determine what the mass is. Micah Bennett stated surgery went well. She's staying overnight at the hospital for observation. Should be released tomorrow. I want to thank everybody who's reached out. We love you all very much. So she had asked for the adrenal glands to be tested or checked 6 months before due to some symptoms she was having. The mass was, quote, accidentally found during a test, but it was inconclusive. So hopefully everything works out great for Maria. But that is the latest on that situation. Now we wait and find out what it is. So all the best. Tonight, we've got a bunch of shows. We got Rampage and SmackDown tonight. We have got, a lot of stuff. Let me look at this thing.
A lot this weekend. Not tons tonight, but setting up a big weekend.
Well, I will say this, and that is that things have improved dramatically of late in terms of AEW announcing stuff in advance, but can't say that for Collision. Holy smokes. We just got a Collision card. It's like the day before the show. And the show is at about 1,200 tickets. So like the last time that we gave you an update, it was at 900. This is the show in Cedar Rapids. So, I don't know, man. 1,200 is not good. We need to build some stuff up, get some stuff going. But for Collision, which is coming up on Saturday, we have got Ricochet versus Leo Rush, Penelope Ford versus Jamie Hayter, and FTR versus Rush and Dralistico. So I'm presuming something will happen involving the Outrunners in that match. But, when the Outrunners got beaten, everybody's like, don't worry about it. They're going to get their revenge. They'll get their win back. Let me know when this happens, because I don't know if you guys watch AEW, but that doesn't happen very often. They don't often do that 50-50 get the win back thing. They do it more now than they did the year one, where we literally never saw rematches. But FTR and LFI, we're having a match on Saturday. Now, speaking of DIY, we've got a number one contenders match on SmackDown tonight. They will be facing the Motor City Machine Guns, and the winners will be getting a shot at the tag team titles. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what's happening here.
What do you mean?
Well, the Motor City Machine Guns literally just debuted, okay? Mm-hmm. And I like that they have already moved on in the tournament, but now the winners of this tournament will be facing the Bloodline. And I guess it's possible that, Shelly and Sabin could win and then beat the Bloodline. I mean, maybe Jey Uso could cost them the match or something as revenge for what happened with the Intercontinental title. But my gut kind of tells me they're not losing those titles. So it's just, Shelly and Sabin debuting, getting 2 wins, and then losing a tag title match. And they don't even fit into that storyline anyway. And the only other option is if, DIY win, but then you're beating the Machine Guns on their second night in. So I guess the only thing I can think of that makes sense to me is Shelley and Saban win the tournament. They face the Bloodline, and Jey Uso or whoever helps them get the win as revenge for the Intercontinental title switch on Monday, and that further builds up the War Games match, presumably coming up at Survivor Series.
When do we believe that the tag title match is going to take place between the Bloodline and the
We don't
winner
know.
of this match?
It's just a number one contenders match.
Because they are taping SmackDown also tonight for next week because they're going to be going to Saudi Arabia and everything. But it's not the best thing in the world, but you could very easily have a non-finish in that Motor City Machine Guns Bloodline match if they were to win tonight. By having Jey Uso get involved and Sami Zayn and this person and that person, you could absolutely do that. It's not ideal, but you could. And what you could also do is, because they lost the titles to the Bloodline, is have DIY win. But in that case, to get the Motor City Machine Guns out of that, you either have the Bloodline do something that backfires. You have Tama Tonga run out there and do something where they screw over the Motor City Machine Guns.
But why would they run in during the match? What does the Bloodline have to do with either of these teams? That's the problem.
Because they're the tag team champions, so they want to ruin whatever is going to take place between these two teams because they don't want either one of them. And look, and in that case, you could end up making it a three-way. Again, not ideal, but then what you could also do is get the titles off the Bloodline without ever beating the Bloodline. So you could do that as well, too. But, it's too bad they don't have more tag teams already built up with something to, especially heel tag teams, because there's a very easy thing you could do, which would be the Motor City Machine Guns lose because somebody runs in and causes them the match, which would be their first big feud in WWE. But unfortunately, who's the biggest tag team? What's the biggest heel tag team on, other than the Bloodline on SmackDown? So, unfortunately, they don't have that option.
We got Andrade and Carmelo in the final of their best of 7, which was just announced as best of 7, even though we knew it was best of 7, but they never told us it was best of 7.
Yeah.
For reasons I can't understand. But anyway, they've had like 6 great matches, but now LA Knight is a special guest referee, so surely some shenanigans, which probably will bring the match down, but we'll see. And then Cody and Gunther have their face-to-face. And then Rampage tonight, we got Ricochet and Nick Wayne. Is that a spoiler? I don't know why we didn't announce that on Wednesday, but that's who it is because the show's taped. We got Undisputed Kingdom versus Gates of Agony versus Shane Taylor Promotions in a 3-way. Because we got the Beast Mortos versus Beef. I'll take it. And we got Anna Jay versus Layla Gray. So Anna Jay can get a win before her title shot.
How dare they defeat Layla Gray like that? She should be the one going over.
Oh, stop.
Oh, come on, mister. I can't wait to watch Beef. It's great with me.
No,
Give me a
I
break.
know why you want Layla Gray to win, because you think that she's attractive.
But
that makes absolutely zero sense in the storyline, because Anna Jay's got a title shot. She
Anna
never
Jay-
does anything. She wears a flight attendant outfit.
So you're
I haven't
saying-
seen her wrestle in 9 months.
So you're telling me Anna Jay is not attractive? That's your problem with this?
No,
You
but I'm
think
saying that's
Anna
why
Jay is
you
unattractive?
are ranting and
I
raving
didn't
about
say that.
Layla winning.
I didn't.
Why
say
would
that at all.
Layla win this match? That doesn't make any sense.
Because she needs to build her self back up after being attacked by Marina Shafir and being the only woman who's had to suffer at the hands of the mid-card attacking Blackpool Combat Club.
Would you stop? Come on. And then we've got Halloween Havoc on Sunday. So Halloween Havoc and Raw are in the same building, Sunday and Monday. And then the Crown Jewel and Raw will be, I believe, in the same building in Saudi Arabia. So a lot of back-to-back shows in the same building. This one has Trick Williams and Ethan Page, Devil's Playground match. Tony D and Obafemi in a Tables, Ladders, and Scares match. Roxanne and Cora versus Julie and Stephanie Vaquer. Andre Chase, Ridge Holland ambulance match. And Kalani Jordan will defend against a member of Fatal Influence in an unknown match. Great.
Sure.
At least we got the rest of the card.
Can they spin a wheel to decide who's going to be the opponent as well as the stipulation?
Well, here's
for
the thing
match?
with this whole Fatal Influence thing. It's like
It ain't gonna be Jasmine next.
many times now it's been, these two will face 2 members. Or this person will face a member. And, like, they don't tell you. And then, like, the show starts and it's just two people. It's like, I don't even understand why it has to be. It's not like the surprise is meaningful or there's a reason for it or, people are tuning in to find out who. It's just, it'll be two of them. It'll be one of them. And then it just is. What's the point? Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. New issue of The Observer. Dave has a report on 2 potential matches being planned for the return of Saturday night's main event, which is December 14th. The Nassau Coliseum.
Where it all started.
Long Island.
Mm-hmm. You won't go there either, will you?
Undisputed champion Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. And Gunther versus Damian Priest. So these are currently slated but not etched in stone. So obviously, those are big matches, dude.
Yeah.
And I think it's obviously quite important to do this. Because as we have learned from both Battle of the Belts and the last time they did Saturday night's main event, there's no quicker way to get people to stop watching the show than for nothing of any value whatsoever to be on the shows. And I don't know, man. Like, neither title should change hands.
That's a tough one with Priest in New York, though.
But part of me thinks that we should maybe do a title change of something else. Tag titles or something. So...
Well, how many matches is it going to be?
I don't know.
Are they getting a 2-hour block for this?
I don't know how long they're getting.
Well,
the
look,
old
if
Saturday night's main event, I mean, from the
90
modern
minutes.
era, was like an hour. I
In
recall.
that case, you don't need any more matches. I mean, you really only need to do 2, have some good interviews, have some vignettes, have some all that gaga that, you know, they love to produce and put on there and make shiny. Do that if it's only going to be an hour. If it's going to be 2 hours and you have between 8 and 10 or 9 and 11, then yeah, you could do a little bit more and maybe have a different title switch in there. But I kind of like the idea. I've always been a fan of 90 minutes. And they were lucky to get that because of that's what Saturday Night Live was. But you go back to Memphis and the Channel 5 shows, and an hour, not enough. 2 hours, sometimes too much. 90 minutes is something that I wish somebody would bring back.
And then we've got first match official for New Japan's biggest show of the year, Tokyo Dome, January 4th. Tanahashi versus Evil. Shall I get my flight now, or maybe I'll wait?
Torture. A house of it.
It's like John Cena starting his one-year retirement deal, and they announced his first big match of the Royal Rumble will be with Miz.
Well,
I don't know.
you know what's really important, though, about that deal with Evil is it keeps him out of every other type of picture in New Japan, including any title picture. So he can brawl with Tanahashi over who can be Presidente, and frankly, for Tanahashi, who could use all of the help he can get physically in his matches, that's a place where some of that House of Torture nonsense could actually be a benefit.
Oh, man, sports fan 1414 here on the chat actually has a great idea.
What's that?
Well, Saturday night's main event is where Tiffany cashes in. I like that idea a lot.
Not a bad one.
I like that idea a lot.
Who does she cash in on?
Who cares? The point is we get a cash in successfully. Probably Nia, of course.
Well,
But you know, a big angle on a Saturday night's main event so people know we're only doing 4 a year, but do not miss Saturday night's main event because you never know what'll happen.
it would be a lot bigger deal if she cashed in on Liv Morgan, because that would mean you have Rhea Ripley possibly out there. You got almost said Dominic Guerrero. Dominic Mysterio would be out there. I think you would actually get more out of doing something like that, and it would be a big shock that, again, anything could happen on Saturday night's main event.
Man, there's so many people advocating for her to cash in on Liv, and I just don't get it. It's like they've been building up her cashing in on Nia for months and months and months and months.
I
Like,
know.
people want that. Why would you ever cash in on Liv? Just because you can, but like...
But if Tiffany ends up on Raw come Netflix time or before WrestleMania, I mean, that could absolutely happen. That could absolutely
Well,
happen.
I know people are saying that thing as well, but to me, here's the thing. We almost never do house shows anymore. It's like they don't even exist. So it's not like if you're on SmackDown and you're dating someone on Raw, it's like you only see him 2 or 3 days a week.
Oh, you're bringing that? Okay, yes.
Yeah, it's like
Because
there's
she is-
okay, they're not together one day. Like they'll
Explain
survive.
that. Explain that to people because they
Well-
may not know. I didn't mean that aspect of it, but
Well, that's what everyone's talking about. Like
A lot of
Tiffany
people
and what's his face?
Ludwig.
That helps, right? Yeah, Ludwig. Tiffany and Ludwig are dating, but they're on opposite shows.
Ludwig.
But unless, like, he's on the road from, you know, Friday through Monday, and she's on the road from Monday through Thursday, and they only see each other for a day or something, then yeah, that's an issue. Get them on the same brand so they can go everywhere together. But they're missing 1 day. I guess 2 days. Anyway.
I don't know. We could possibly see other people moving up that may have a relationship with somebody on Raw. I wouldn't know about that, though. It's over my head.
NXT will have a presence at Bound for Glory. They've announced on the countdown. It is Zaya Brookside and Brinley Reese versus Ash by Elegance and Heather by Elegance.
Sure.
That is
Who?
on the
Heather by
pre-show.
Elegance. Who's Heather by Elegance?
I don't know. Heather somebody.
I missed this.
Where's
apparently.
Vinny? I need Vinny here to explain what's going on. But the rest of the show, Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry, Frankie Kazarian, a special guest referee. I'm pretty sure we should all believe in Joe Hendry, but I don't know for sure. We got Jordan Grace, Masha Slamovich for the Knockouts title.
Like that.
Full Metal Mayhem with ABC, the Hardys, and the System. I think these Hardys are winning one more set of tag team titles tonight.
Oh, I feel bad for whoever is going to take that senton from Jeff.
PCO and Matt Cardona for the TNA Digital Media title and International title in a Monsters Ball match.
Plunder.
Mike Bailey against Vikingo for the X Division title. Knockouts champion Spitfire against Wendy Chu and Rosemary.
Come on. Danny Luna, saved. Please, don't do it.
Call Your Shot gauntlet match where AJ Francis enters last.
Top dollar.
Frankie Kazarian enters first. Moose and Santana, Josh Alexander and Steve Macklin, and Bob Ryder and Rhino inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame. That's Bound for Glory on Saturday. Check it out.
On Triller, right?
I'm sure it's many different places you can
And
get
a
it.
pay-per-view, I guess, yeah. Or
And-
TNA Plus, I guess it would be. That's their... Still got that going on.
And then we've got Dynamite on Wednesday, which did 637,000 viewers and a .19 in 18 to 49, which is, it's all right. Head-to-head with NBA basketball on ESPN, NHL on TNT, and CNN Town Hall with Kamala Harris. Their overall viewership down 18% year over year, 18 to 49 down 20% year over year. Did hold up better this week than in previous weeks, so that's at least good. And yeah, let's keep up this promotion and announcing matches. That's what I say. I wonder how NXT is doing in the same building as Raw. Let's find out. Halloween Havoc.
Ticket-wise?
Yeah, Halloween Havoc on Sundays at 51:45. So
Where are they at?
they're in the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So 51:45 for Sunday, and then Raw on Monday is at 72:18. So really not that much higher than NXT. They did draw 9,000 last time. They're set up for 8,100. They'll probably do that. But yeah, 2 nights back to back, not bad.
I would argue after the failure of the second CW show to be in the bigger building in St. Louis and then moving it, that if you're going to do this, sure, yes, it is a pay-per-view or premium live event and it should be able to kind of sell off of that. But when you're in buildings like this, I'm surprised that they don't offer a 2-for-1, some sort of discount, some sort of bundle tie-in with NXT and with Raw. Or NXT and SmackDown, whatever the combination would be. You know, again, doesn't mean everybody's going to go, doesn't mean that everybody's going to want to have, 2 tickets or anything like that, but it would probably help matters a little bit.
All right, text us. 425-780-7566 is the text message line. And after the break, hey, you may as well start calling now. We'll put Daniel to work. 1-800-878-PLAY. That's 1-800-878-7529. If you would like to give us a call, 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529.
Don't curse and
Yeah, don't be an idiot.
Please.
Okay?
Yes.
Don't be an idiot.
Try not to embarrass yourself or other wrestling fans.
I haven't seen Lenny in the chat all day. He's
What are you
busy
saying?
getting his podcast ready. So he may not have time to call in here today.
Oh, man.
Yes. But
Is he
call
doing
in.
the Patreon thing, too?
Give us your name, everybody, and we shall. I don't know if he has a Patreon or not. I don't think we're that deep into it yet.
Ah, not like the Mid-Atlantic podcast. Patreon.com/.
Brandon here says, nothing against her, but when was the last time that Jasmine was one of the surprise competitors? And yes, I know that's not how you spell her name, but I can't remember how. It's Jazmynnyx.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes. Jasmine Nix. Well, it's because she's the greenest of the 3 by miles.
Yeah.
I mean, JC and Fallon both, they did indies before coming to WWE.
Can we just let Fallon wrestle all of the matches? That would be a lot better.
Well, I would say that Fallon is by far the best of the three, but Jasmine's
Yeah.
fine. And I'm not sorry, not Jasmine. JC. JC's fine.
Yeah, she's a lot better than she originally started as way back.
All right, let's start these calls and these messages after the break. Observer Live.
No fish could swim this far upshore. Yeah.
Shoulders ran like the wind, but he could find no peace.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. A couple text messages, and we got some people on the line. If you want to text us, 425-780-7566. If you want to call, 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. Gambit here on the chat asks, will there be any payoff to the Mox storyline? Tony starts a storyline and doesn't know how to progress it. I'm asking because the Bucks attacking Tony went nowhere. Yeah, that one wasn't very good. But let me tell you something. I don't know if you know anything about Jon Moxley. I don't know if you've ever read his book. I don't know if you've ever heard an interview with Jon Moxley. There is zero chance that he is involved in a storyline that is going to go nowhere. It will go somewhere. That is 100% guaranteed.
Could
I'm
be
talking
off a cliff.
100% guaranteed.
Could be to the finish line. With
There is
great
a point to
success.
this, and it will progress. Okay? I can't say anything about it. Whatever else, anybody else, he is not going to just be involved in a nothing happens.
So-
He's a champion, too, by the way.
So if he ain't driving that car, he's at least shotgun with the directions in hand. Then that's what you're saying here.
Yeti Pot Pie says, I thought the payoff was blood and guts. No, they had a match at blood and guts, but what was the payoff? It was like, the story was...
Jack Perry was too tough to give up.
The story was that Tony was gone, and so the Young Bucks became the number one people in control of the company. Well, then, like, 3 weeks later, Tony Khan came back, and, like, they each still had power, and, like, they could overrule each other, but sometimes not. It's never been explained, like, who has power and who doesn't. Why can Chris Daniels say this, or the Young Bucks? Like, if Blood and Guts had been a match where the winner of Blood and Guts, they will have power over AEW, whether it's Tony's group or whether it's... And no, Chris Daniels is... I mean, it's just... There was no payoff to it. It's like it still is just kind of... sometimes the Bucks can make a ruling. Sometimes Tony overrules it. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes him or Daniel... I mean, no, there's not been a payoff to this. We still don't know what happened here.
Tony Khan was once fearful for his life. He went out and told the crowd. You know, granted, a little bit of a different situation, but he got his neck put into a brace by the Young Bucks, and now all of this is happening. There is carnage. There are innocent people being beaten up all over that building. Not one word from Tony Khan, not one word from Christopher Daniels. You know, these are the things that people will say, oh, you're nitpicking or you're just being a hater. And it's like, no, there's ways to kind of like meld everything in where the thing makes sense. And you can have all of these orbits going on, but like everything's got to actually be connected with some sort of tissue somehow.
All right, Michael in Rochester, you're on the air. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Brian? Mike, thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to talk about Wednesday night's AEW show. And one of the problems I have with the company now, I think we all would agree that it's not nearly the company that it used to be, is that it reminds me a lot of WWE pre-pandemic, when they would have all the McMahons were in the ring and Baron Corbin was the GM, and they talked about how we're going to do stuff for the fans because the fans are not happy. And then it was this constant heat afterwards. And I noticed yesterday that every champion in AEW right now is a heel. And that's even including Ring of Honor. Everybody is a heel. And I watched the show Wednesday night, and there was maybe 2,000 fans in the building. And it just hit me. Like, the show is depressing. It's not fun to watch. And part of the reason why is because there's nobody to really root for. Like, when you watch WWE now with Triple H in charge, there's people to root for, whether it's Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins or Jey Uso or Roman Reigns is now a babyface or Rhea Ripley. In AEW, all the babyfaces, they just get humiliated. They get treated like trash.
Well, hold on a second. I want to thank you very much for the call, but here's the deal. So, listen, you can't have all good, happy news all the time. You gotta have some heat here and there. And if you look at what they're doing with AEW, clearly the idea is that we are about to have a whole bunch of baby faces show up, and you will have people to cheer for. Will Ospreay is coming back. Clearly, Kenny Omega is coming back. And obviously, they've got this big plan, which will likely start with start with Orange Cassidy, and eventually build to Darby Allin. And one of these baby faces, at some point, is going to unseat Jon Moxley. And in order to get to that position, I mean, you got to build some heat. You can't just have happy endings all the time and everything's good. I mean, there was a reason it was so depressing at the end of that last pay-per-view. And a lot of people were down on it, but you know what? Sometimes you have to have a very, very sad ending. People keep mentioning The Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, it was a sad ending to the second Star Wars, but there was a point to that. It's like you can't just always have a happy ending. So
Yeah, but
we'll see where it goes, but like you can see they're building up to the big return of a bunch of top baby faces.
He is right, though, in a way where it comes to who do you root for there. And what do they give you to root for there sometimes? You know, why are you rooting for Daniel Garcia? Because AEW gave him everything and he put MJF away and he's back. Okay, but like, he is right about the fact that there's a lot of heat and there's a lot of unlikability when it comes to some of their characters, or at least not enough reason for me to want to stand up and get behind them and be whipped into a frenzy the way you would want people to back Cody Rhodes or Ric Flair or Roman Reigns or Bruno or any of those people. They don't have one of those guys on the babyface side right now.
Well, let's go to Lenny. Lenny, you're on the air. What's going on? Yes, Lenny. Hopefully you have less dead air on your podcast. What's going on?
He put you on hold.
Hey, I mean, channel's open. It sounds like I hear a phone ringing.
If you'd like to...
Ran out of minutes. You got stood up by Lenny.
Are you guys aware that Lenny is going to do a podcast? Will you be there for that first show?
Honest to God, that is, you know what? I got to be honest, if more pro wrestling commentary-based podcasts sounded exactly like that, I might listen to some of them.
I hope that wasn't his one call. Let's see what else we got here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lenny's podcast. And we'll talk to you next week. All right. Let's see what we got.
You've inspired many people over the years to do podcasts.
I'm a very,
you know that, right?
I'm a very inspirational man.
You get a lot of blame.
This person says, I agree with a good amount of what our last caller was saying regarding baby faces. I don't think Kenny Omega has ever been missed more. Well, what can you do? The guy was hurt.
Well,
He's lucky he can come back at all. So hopefully he does come back sooner rather than later.
Hey, let's see how Samoa Joe comes back, because one would figure...
Yeah, Joe's got to come back.
Even if they want him to be a heel, people are going to be going crazy for him, especially depending on how you insert him into one of these stories. So, again, things are looking better with the fact that so many people are coming back, and they are doing some of the little things that we complain about on this show. You know, as far as local promotion, apparently Kyle Fletcher was not as good as Gabe Kidd, apparently doing an interview, but he was on TV in Iowa doing the morning weather and all that sort of stuff. So that's good to hear, because that's very important, so they at least have some sunniness on the horizon. Whether they're able to take advantage of that, we'll see.
And this person here notes, not every Ring of Honor champion is a heel. Dustin and Sammy are tag champs. Dustin and the Von Erichs are six-man champs. They're not on Dynamite or Collision. We literally have not seen them since they won the tag team titles. And they just kind of vanished off into the sunset. So
Are the Von Erichs signed?
I guess. I do not know.
Doesn't matter. I know if you have a championship, you don't have to be signed, but I was wondering what happened to them.
Per says, with the Continental Classic coming up, who do you have as a favorite to win the whole thing? I want to see Takeshita as a double champ. Well, I think the question is, are we going to have champions in the Continental Classic, and will they have to put up their belts? Because if you remember, when they did it last year, Eddie Kingston was in the tournament, and his belts were on the line in all the matches, right? Or was it just at the end, whoever won got all the belts?
No. I think his deal, I thought he put them on the line, and that's why he had to get to the final to win. But again,
if he lost, he didn't lose his title?
No, he was going to lose them.
So if Eddie Kingston lost to Takeshita in the tournament, Takeshita would have won his belt.
I'd have to go back.
Eddie went undefeated?
I can't remember.
Does anybody know?
Hey, and what is it going to be for? Does it set up, is that going to be, if they do the Continental Classic, will it be all about setting something up for January 5th in that pay-per-view that takes place in Tokyo, or is it going to be something that they're going to have that will be for other domestic pay-per-views. You know what I mean? And that crown, is it going to be, again, is the tournament going to be about January 5th, or is it going to be about the everyday of AEW stories?
You know, usually when I ask these questions, like, the answer is immediate on the chat, but, like, we still don't have an answer yet. So I think people might be looking it up, which, by the way, is a very important thing, because I've been saying this for a long time, and that is, okay, so Eddie chose to put his belts on the line in every match.
Okay, yeah. All right.
So I believe the company made it for the Triple Crown. I believe, he says. So Eddie went undefeated in the tournament? Here's the point. I've said this 1,000 times.
What do they need a championship for this? Why?
His belt was on the line. Now, Sandman says his belt was on the line in the tournament and not in every match. Nobody remembers, okay? And this is a very important thing I've talked about 1,000 times. You know who does remember? And they probably remember every single match that Eddie had and who he beat, everything. It's Tony Khan.
Ever.
He's got a photographic memory of everything that ever happened in AEW. And the problem is, sometimes when you're like that, you presume everybody else does as well. You know who else I think does? Is Will Washington, who helps write with Tony. He remembers everything. So now you have two guys that remember everything. And so I think one of the issues is, well, they presume everybody else remembers absolutely everything, but we don't. We just don't. And, I mean, you can look through the chat here, like, people are trying to figure out and remember, and, you know, we don't remember off the top of our heads. We can look it up, but the point is, you can't book, Tony and Will cannot book for Tony and Will. You got to book for the rest of us, which is, okay, remind me what happened last year. Remind me what happened with so-and-so. Remind me what happened with Jay White and Hangman. Like, remind us, because we don't remember everything.
Don't do so much.
You can do so much as long as you remind us. It's not like you watch Raw and SmackDown and they don't do a ton of stuff, but, like, they'll remind you. If there's an important part of the story, they'll show you. They'll remind you, okay? And do not tell me that this is me saying that AEW needs to be like WWE, because you know what? New Japan will remind you. WWE, TNA, NXT, I'm sure CMLL. I go back and I watch all these retro shows from all sorts of different promotions. They will all remind you. They will show you a replay. They will tell you what happened. It's not a WWE thing. That's what you do in pro wrestling, because normal people don't remember everything.
And get the big cat Ernie Ladd to tell it to you.
Oh, man. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. This person says, well, New Japan will do a video package, but unless they are doing a show outside of Japan, the video package will not be in a language I can understand, and they don't allow the commentator to voice over what we were watching and don't subtitle it. Okay, that happens sometimes, but you know what? If you listen to the English feed of New Japan, you get Chris Charlton, okay? Now, Chris Charlton is like Tony Khan and Will Washington. He remembers everything that ever happened. Not just in this universe, but like, you know, the mini universes theory of quantum physics, like all of the other universes of he remembers all that as well, okay?
Third generation New Japan. He
and
remembers.
He'll sit here and explain everything to you.
Like the professor.
Everything.
Mike
If you're
Tenay.
watching New Japan for the first time, you can watch a New Japan show with Chris Charlton on commentary, and by the end, you're like an expert in New Japan. And does anyone go, oh, Chris Charlton wants New Japan to be like WWE, explaining everything to the fans? No, no one's ever said that because that would be stupid. That's the job of the promotion, to explain everything to you, whether it's a video package or whether it's a guy on commentary. Excalibur, like when Excalibur realizes something needs to be explained, like he will do it, but he's got so much other things that he's got to talk about that he doesn't always get to it. Like the other day, he went on like a 2-minute explanation of what happened with Hangman and Jay White, and I was like, thank you. Like, it was a secret on Collision, and then on Wednesday, for the first 2 minutes of the match, he just went through everything that happened. I was like, thank you. We need more of that. We need more of that.
When the show is over, go back and edit out CMLL, because I believe CMLL and AAA just ignore things and then move on.
Well,
So
that's not good if
But
they
don't
do
that.
that. Yes.
Don't do that.
And if I tell them to do it, it doesn't mean I want CML to be like Raw. I just want them to tell me what the hell's going on. All right, we're out of time. I want to thank all of you that tried to get through. Apparently, Brandon tried to get through and couldn't. So maybe somebody was sabotaging the phones today.
Closing the port's mouth? I can't believe it.
I still had fun. Anyway, we're out of time. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.